Hey Stub Clubbers, welcome back. We are here doing another Jurassic Park franchise video because we ran out of time. We're going to continue talking about it. So say hi everybody.
Hi.
Hi.
We got the gang back, so we're going to continue talking about Jurassic Park. Yeah. Okay.
Dinosaurs.
So.
Dinosaurs.
Dinosaur DNA.
Okay, so I'm going to talk about what my list of them are for what I thought was the best to worst. But there needs to be a very quick backstory about me and Jurassic Park. I did not watch them in the regular normal order. I first saw Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom when it first came out at the drive-in. So Fallen Kingdom was my first ever introduction to Jurassic Park. And I honestly loved it. That has nothing to do with my list, but I loved it. I love that Chris Pratt was in it.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next one I watched was Jurassic World with Julia and Kevin.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So it wasn't until I was done with that I was like, oh my God, this is so good. I'm going to go back and watch the other three. And that was a very, very different experience.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when Julia, as you're chomping on ice cream, we had a group chat going on, and I was talking about, I watched the Jurassic World ones first before the Jurassic Park ones.
Mm-hmm.
And what was your comment on that, Julia?
After you watched
World
Fallen Kingdom and then Jurassic World first, and then you went and watched the first Jurassic Park. What did you think of the first Jurassic Park after, when you watched it after already seeing Jurassic World and Fallen Kingdom?
I thought it was boring, and I had a hard time following along, and I think I might have fallen asleep. And I'm not a person.
My jaw dropped when I heard that comment.
Your issue was your perspective. Since you watched them in different order, you watched, the ones that had they were action packed right at the beginning. I mean, there was a little bit of a development in the story, such as Jurassic World, how they show that this theme park has been made. But they get into it pretty quickly with the Indominous Rex, and it's very action thrilling.
That's the problem with the whole thing.
Mm-hmm. And I think they even said the Jurassic World and Fallen Kingdom are more, they're action movies. The earlier ones, I think they're categorized obviously as sci-fi. I don't know if they said horror or something else.
Thriller or something like that.
Thriller, yeah. So, you saw these action-packed tight ones, and then you went and watched the first one. There's a pretty good solid hour, maybe 40 minutes to an hour of the true development, because it's needed for that one. It's the first initial one they get into,
and then,
bringing them with the science and everything starting. And you don't have that first thrilling thing with the T-Rex.
Yeah, there was not. I was like, when's the suspense coming that I had in Jurassic World? When's this gonna happen?
So yeah, that was your take on it. For me, Jurassic Park, the first one was the first movie I watched. When I was watching it, I was very intrigued by it, and I was in suspense, being like, oh, okay, when's the dinosaur gonna come out? I wasn't saying, oh my God, when is it gonna happen? I was more of excited, like, ooh, where's it gonna come? All of a sudden it's gonna come out of the blue. When's it gonna happen? I was waiting in suspense. I was excited for it to happen because I had never seen any Jurassic Park movie. So that's why you had a different, opinion or view about how your perspective was different, having watched.
Mike wants to say something, I can tell.
I'm beginning to question our friendship more and more with this whole conversation, Jennifer. How could you? Oh, jeez.
Jennifer's perspective on the movies actually kind of gets at one of the things I was talking about in the first part of our discussion, where the sequels focus a lot on the action, the violence, and the suspense, and so they're very riveting movies, even if when you think about it later and you're like, wait, a lot of parts of that story don't make sense, but it doesn't matter because they keep you on the edge of your seat. You're on pins and needles, wondering if so and so is going to get eaten by such and such a dinosaur.
Yeah.
And Jurassic Park, the first movie, it does have that that exciting scene at the beginning with the Velociraptor where it eats the guy.
Oh yeah, rips the guy into the cage and rips him
Right.
apart. But you don't see.
Maybe that
So
got me hooked.
it starts strong, but then it goes back to kind of slow. Because the next scene is the lawyer showing up at the mine, talking to the people at the mines, and then after that, it's Dr. Grant and Ellie Sattler digging up bones in the desert in Montana, and you know, there's not much to keep you on the edge of your seat for a while, and it's because they're trying to portray the philosophy, the interesting philosophy that's discussed really well in the book, and they're kind of building the story more. And so Jennifer,
I totally get what you're saying with that. I will add though that my perspective changed when I watched it a second time. So before you went too deep into that, because I know that can go on and on, I can just tell, but I watched Fallen Kingdom first, and I watched Jurassic World. I went and watched Jurassic Park Lost World, Jurassic Park 3, and then I went back and watched Jurassic Park again, and then I went and watched Jurassic World again.
That was smart.
Yeah, because I wanted to really kind of hone in on what I thought about the whole franchise, and I really like it a lot. And I know that when I was younger, I would not have appreciated it because it would have scared me. It wasn't my thing. As I've gotten older, I've gotten more into like the superhero stuff. When I was little, like I wasn't really into some of that stuff. So my interest has changed as I got older, so I could appreciate it more. And by me watching the whole series of what we have so far and going back and watching Jurassic Park again, I appreciated it more and liked it more and was honing in on more things more clearly, like that whole conversation that happened at the table in the first one. Yeah. I really got into that, being like, oh my God, like this speaks about everything that even happens beyond even when Chris Pratt comes in. It speaks about everything. And so with that being said, it does.
That being said,
I'm going to go, this is my order, my list.
The moment we've all been waiting for.
So the first one I have is Jurassic World, is my favorite. I have Jurassic Park Lost World next because I liked how there was more action and suspense in it. That's why that got put second. Jurassic Park is the next one. So that's third. Fourth is Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. And then Jurassic Park 3 is last. I thought that one was, I didn't like how short it was compared to all the other ones. It was an hour and a half. So you lost like 30 minutes of, any other type of action that could have happened. Plus I just felt like, it was just kind of like, here's another one type of a thing. If anything, they did introduce another dinosaur, and there was some interesting stuff in there. Yeah. Everything that Mike was talking about, but
and you were probably questioning like, why is this idiot carrying an egg around an island with killer dinosaurs on it?
Of a vicious predator.
Right. Let's just carry this egg around because nothing bad will ever happen.
So there was something that I wrote down that I've read a lot of articles where people bash what goes on with Jurassic World or even the sequels. And this is my honest opinion about anything that goes beyond Jurassic Park. I say there's nothing really, really wrong with them that a lot of people say there is. And this is why. I said that sequels do not have to spend a bunch of time setting up the franchise storyline because that's what the first one was for. Right. And if you're a person who's watched it, a lot of people don't like how they just jump in the story. That's one thing that people complain about with the Jurassic Park movies, any sequel. Which it's like, you don't need to spend a lot of time. I feel like Harry Potter and all those movies don't go into a detailed thing every time.
Yeah. And I don't mind. Like, I don't mind if when it's like that. So anyway, I agree completely with your point.
Well, Harry Potter always sets up the plot of the movie within the first like 20 minutes, and they're like, "That's the plot. Deal with it."
Yeah.
Which is true.
And it's different.
Yeah. I don't have a problem at all with the Indominus Rex and the Indoraptor that other people do.
Oh yeah.
Many people have problems with it, and I don't. People say that they're out of hand. People don't like that they have genetically modified dinosaurs. It's like, but none of them are real anyways. They're all recreated with other strains of animal DNA.
And you know, like Mike was mentioning before, and I agree completely with that. Like, that's part of the fun with Jurassic Park. And like you said, these are all genetically engineered creations anyway. And so we can't expect these things to be true to life.
I felt like for Jurassic World to work as a movie, for it to bring something different, like we were saying how we like when new dinosaurs are brought in, Jurassic World was interesting because that thing was like humongous, and it was something new. Scary. And they didn't even find out it was part raptor until later. And so not really even knowing what kind of
Chris Pratt, the detective,
was intriguing. And I'll just say this, that if they would have just had a T-Rex escape and you know, wreak havoc with the theme park they all established in Jurassic World, it wouldn't have been exciting because it's another T-Rex.
The T-Rex again?
Yeah, it would have been boring. So that's why the Indominus Rex is that's a perfect addition.
Yeah, very well said, Julia. Because like and it's also in keeping with the theme of with the overall theme of the Jurassic Park franchise. You know, the reason why it exists is because we've created these animals that we don't know what we're dealing with, but we've created them because we want to impress. Like, the reason why they created the Indominus Rex in Jurassic World was for the investors. They wanted to bring more people to the park. They wanted to make more money. Again, exploiting science for profit without fully understanding what it is they're wielding. To quote Ian Malcolm, "You've found this new power and you're wielding it like a kid who's found his dad's gun." It's one of my favorite lines from the first movie.
Yeah. And speaking of science, what you keep talking about, Kevin, the whole thing with the Indominus Rex and the Indoraptor has to deal with scientists, and that is the key thing that strings all these movies together. So what I wrote down is, scientists made the dinosaur. So what causes them to just stop there? Because they're going to keep pushing their limits and seeing what big project is going to be their next big thing. It's the scientist part of their curiosity. So of course they shouldn't. They know they shouldn't, but they want to push the limit of science, so they're going to do it anyways. And as time has gone on, technology has evolved. That's what happens. Time goes on, technology evolves. So why can't anything else? Why can't the dinosaurs evolve then? Why can't scientists push it to see, well, let's put this together with this and see what we can create? It's the same thing that happens in the real world. They do not stick with, animatronics in movies anymore. They switch to CGI. They have to adapt to time and the audience. So they had to push the science with the dinosaurs to help with time and help with the audience that is coming now into the franchise.
Yeah. Right.
There are people who can appreciate the animatronics, which in 1992, the T-Rex was 136 feet long.
Damn.
It was a big puppet, and it's never been done before. It was 18 feet tall.
Wow.
Yes, it was 136 feet long and 18 feet tall, and it was 12,000 pounds. Can you see that? Yes, the T-Rex.
That's wow. They really go all out. It's one of the things I admire about the Jurassic Park franchise is how they don't kid around with their props.
They also said they had to keep, how they did that the T-Rex scene in the rain, they had to
In the
keep
car?
drying. Yeah, they had to keep drying off the T-Rex there.
Yeah, the
Well,
animatronic.
I
Yeah.
saw something, I don't know how true it is, but it sounds pretty accurate.
I
But
know what
it
you're gonna
said
say.
that when the kids were in the car and the glass on top like caved in,
Mhm.
the animatronic of the T-Rex malfunctioned, and it just
And
kept
jolted.
attacking them. And that's
Oh, I didn't hear that. I just heard they had to
glass
keep drying
broke
it off.
because it malfunctioned. And the kids screaming in the car, that was them actually freaking out. But, let's just keep filming it because forget their safety. They know what they signed up for.
Well,
But,
yeah,
yeah.
I'd like to look into that because I heard the part where the T-Rex sticks its head in was meant to happen, but the part where the glass broke wasn't supposed to happen.
Yeah,
So,
popped the whole ceiling down.
Yeah.
And that wasn't supposed to happen.
it's interesting what ends up in the final product that
Right.
wasn't planned for in filming.
Yeah.
But I feel like all of us have said stuff that justifies what a lot of people think about when they think of, how many movies have been made. Why are some good? Why are some not good? But then you've got people who, like Mike, he looks at a different whole thing. He's looking at the dinosaurs and wants new dinosaurs introduced each time.
Right, because
When
the
some
movie is
people are
about
looking for the thrill factor.
the movie's about dinosaurs, not about people. Like with the Godzilla movies that came out, like the one that came out a while ago, King of the Monsters, that like 2 or 3 years ago. They hyped up the King Ghidorah versus Godzilla fight for all the trailers. They hyped it up. They made it some big thing. There's going to be the clash of the two god monsters. It's going to be intense. It's going to be insane. We saw more of these stupid people trying to figure out what they were going to do about, oh my God, we have to do this. And we saw maybe like altogether 20 minutes of actual monster fights.
So it was anticlimactic.
Yeah. It's like, oh, hey, look, Godzilla and King Ghidorah, they're in the background fighting, but let's focus on the little girl that plays Eleven in Stranger Things because she was the hot, thing at that time. And when I say hot thing at that time, I mean, she was the popular child actress at that time. Not to sound creepy, not to distort my words or anything.
I get what you were saying. And Jennifer, I agree with what you said too about the nature of sequels. Everybody in the audience is a different person, and so they each have a different take on the movie, and so that's why a lot of times, even if a movie is a critical failure or a box office failure, fans might still like it, and that's why
Brian
I was hoping. I'm sorry, what?
It was terrible.
Oh, well, and
Sucks.
the other thing too about
then there's
June
Jurassic
21st.
World, June 12th,
Jurassic World.
2015. I loved that. I just watched it for the first time over the weekend.
Really?
Kirk,
You haven't seen Fallen Kingdom. Fallen Kingdom was terrible.
Yes, I have. I saw
Fallen-
the Fallen Kingdom at the drive-in, and that was the first time I saw any Jurassic Park movie.
I'm sorry.
So that I liked it.
Yeah.
And then
what's
this
wrong
weekend-
hold on. What's wrong with Fallen Kingdom, Brian?
What's
Yeah.
wrong with Fallen Kingdom?
Yes. Mr.
The
I have
whole
a problem with
everything.
everything.
The whole movie ends on some dumb little clone girl destroying the world. And the thing is, they're acting like this is the worst thing that could happen to humanity. Like they don't have guns that can take these things out. Seriously?
Yeah.
They're gonna make
Another
it a
good one.
movie? No. Stop.
Back to the Future.
Let them kill the dinosaurs on the island.
I'm looking
Yeah.
forward to the third one. Technically the sixth.
I just want
Yes.
to see the world in just ruins. That'd be awesome.
about sequels in general is that it's kind of a challenge because you want to have enough in common with the original movie to get people who liked the first
Bring 'em
movie
back.
to watch the next one, but then also make it different enough so that people don't feel like they're watching the same movie. And so
Right.
I totally get why it can be hard to come up with a good sequel.
Yeah, and the thing that a lot of these directors and film studios do when they're making a movie, like, oh my God, let's make giant monsters fighting each other, or let's make giant robots fighting giant monsters, they go all out with the first one, and they're like, yeah, let's use everything that we can think of on this, and then it's awesome. And then they're like, okay, time for a sequel. Now
There's a
Like,
lot
how do
less,
we top this?
we
yeah,
used our
there's a lot less
stuff at the beginning of the first movie.
Yeah, the
What do we do?
energetic, the creative energy that you have in the first one often is absent in the second one.
Right. Or
And-
the thing that really ticks me off is they switch directors.
Yes.
The
yeah.
first one directed by this person. Oh, it's great. It's going to be awesome. And then they set up for a sequel, and then they're like, here's the sequel directed by a different person.
Yeah, and they take it
Mhm.
in a different direction.
Yeah.
And the
no.
other thing too, like I've noticed that where sequels, where it's clear from the beginning that they're going to produce multiple movies, and they know where the stories go from the start. I've noticed the sequels tend to do better. You know, Lord of the Rings is a good example of
Oh,
that.
God, yes.
And whereas, you know, obviously, and they had the same director. You know,
Right.
going to your point, Peter Jackson directed them all.
Yes.
There was a different director for each of the Jurassic Park movies. You know, the first movie is self-contained. It doesn't need. There's nothing about that story that leads into a sequel.
No.
There's nothing that's compelling that makes us wonder what happens after.
Yeah.
Well, right, and a lot of times when these movies are made, they make them as a one standalone film.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And it's usually that if they do super, super good after the fact, like, oh my God, we got to make all these other movies. And a lot of times that
Right.
was never even planned.
Yeah,
so that's
exactly.
a whole other thing that goes into that.
Yeah.
Or like with the Marvel movies, they planned on having Thanos be the big villain that they were leading up to with the Avengers movies, but they also told the stories of each character in between the movies.
Mhm.
So by the time they got to the big moments for those characters, it didn't pull away from the Avengers movies because those were their own movies, but they were also collaboration movies with all the individual movies.
That whole thing was just genius, all of
Yeah.
it.
They knew
Just
what they were
amazing.
doing.
Yes. And others try to do it, and they can't.
DC.
I just wanted to say.
Sorry, did I say that out loud?
Oh, crap.
I mean, I
Oh,
agree
no.
with that.
Uh-oh. Wait, hold on. Oops. I got a notification from Snapchat, and it took me to Snapchat.
Oh, no.
Oops.
Like Justice League. Like,
Oh,
do research on
I'm
the
back.
Justice League movie that came out. They switched directors halfway through because the main director had to leave because of a family emergency. So they thought, hey, Avengers was such a big success. Let's get Joss Whedon because he directed the first Avengers movie and have him do to Justice League what he did to Avengers. But you go from a dark tone movie to trying to do a movie with comedy in it, and it doesn't work out.
and
No.
one thing I wanted to mention too, like you kind of touched on this earlier, Jennifer, is like I appreciate when sequels can, like, they do a good job of being you can understand the story without seeing the other ones. I don't think that's like a requirement, but with a lot of these, for example, comic book hero movies where I haven't seen all the other ones, haven't seen all the other Avenger Marvels movies, but like I saw Thor Ragnarok, didn't see any of the other Thor movies, and I loved it.
They're also good.
But, you know, that said, it's not always possible to do that. Like in Jurassic Park, seeing the earlier ones definitely makes the later ones more enjoyable. But that said, you started with the very last one, the most recent movie in the franchise, and you liked it.
Yeah.
So that I think that speaks to how well done the story was.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so my favorite quotes, and I already mentioned.
Don't you see the danger, John, inherent in what you're doing here? Genetic power is the most awesome force the planet's ever seen, but you wield it like a kid that's found his dad's gun.
Ian Malcolm called what they were doing with Jurassic Park the rape of the natural world.
What's so great about Discovery? It's a violent, penetrative act that scars what it explores, what you call discovery. I call the rape of the natural world.
Oh, when the T-Rex makes her grand appearance, Ian Malcolm says,
Boy, do I hate being right all the time.
Oh,
Yes. I love that. Boy, I hate being right all the time.
When Dr. Grant talks about
I don't want to jump to any conclusions, but look. Dinosaurs and man, two species separated by 65 million years of evolution, have just been suddenly thrown back into the mix together. How can we possibly have the slightest idea of what to expect?
and then lastly, when John Hammond says,
I don't believe it. You're meant to come down here and defend me against these characters, and the only one I've got on my side is the blood-sucking lawyer.
anyway, as a lawyer,
I
appreciate
like-
lawyers' votes.
I
And-
like the when they're in the car and the little kid, he like hops into the back seat and he opens up that crate and he pulls out like those night vision goggles.
Mhm.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
he's like,
Hey, where did you find those?
It locks under my seat.
Are they heavy?
Yeah.
Then they're expensive. Put them back.
Yeah.
Those were in Jurassic World.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, when they
When?
go into the area where they find the Jeep, when they somehow
Oh,
refix up the Jeep
yeah.
fast, they find what's the youngest boy in Jurassic World?
Timmy?
Timmy? The original?
that's from
I'm
Jurassic
sorry, I'm
Park.
thinking of the first movie.
I'm talking
I
about
don't know. The kids were not memorable in that. It's like Zach and something.
Yeah,
I
don't
really
remember
liked
the
them.
name.
I just, because I've only seen it twice, I can't remember the name. Anyways, the youngest boy picks him up, I think puts him on, and then takes him off, and he leaves him on or something. So those were in there.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Life finds a way.
Life finds a way.
I think that's
Okay,
Julia's favorite.
so the one kid's name was Zach, and the
Mhm.
other kid's name was Gray,
Oh.
like the color gray, like
Is
Gary,
Gray the youngest?
like Gary, but swap the R and the A, and you have Gray. Gray's the youngest. He is also, if it'll load, he was also in Iron Man 3,
Yeah,
Oh, right. He was the
And-
little boy.
and he was in Avengers Endgame.
He was standing on the porch
Yeah, he
during the
was.
funeral.
It hurts me every time I see it.
So tragic.
I really liked the quote they put in about Disneyland.
Yes.
When they opened Disneyland in 1956, nothing worked.
Yeah, but John, if the Pirates of the Caribbean breaks down, the pirates don't eat the tourists.
Such a great
I love
line.
that. I
Because they
appreciate
talked
that.
about how when Disneyland opened, it wasn't like they had problems the day it opened, and that's what they
Yeah.
were referring to. And
Yeah.
they're like, well, not dinosaurs eating people. They kinda-
So many of the best lines in Jurassic Park come from Ian Malcolm. And the one Julia mentioned,
This is magnificent.
Oh, yeah. Ooh, that's how it always starts. But then later there's running and screaming.
That's from the second one, Lost
That's
World,
second
correct?
Mhm,
Yeah.
correct.
Love Jeff Goldblum. Love him.
Yeah, he's perfect for that part.
They make freaking T-shirts where he's like leaning, he's doing that side pose.
Sexy
Yeah.
Goldblum.
I've
It's
seen
called the
that.
Sexy Goldblum. Oh, he's doing it. Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
shit.
Yep, I'm doing my
Jennifer
best
froze.
impression. It's
Quick.
kind of hard to do with my
Get that.
laptop.
Get that on a
April,
Jennifer was like
million.
this.
life finds a way.
All right, so that is our discussion on the Jurassic Park movies and where we rank them. If you like what you saw, like, comment, subscribe, follow us on social media, and
Do it.
until next time, I am Mike.
I'm Jennifer.
I'm
I'm
Julia.
Kevin.
Okay, and that's it.
Peace out.
That's all. Oh, also, wash your hands and wear a mask.
Damn straight.
We got in real close for that one. We're like, what?
Make sure the mask covers your mouth and nose.
Yeah, none of
No
this.
chin straps, people.
I just got my mask on here, kids. Yeah. But, okay, there you go, just like that.
And
Yeah.
stay home if you're sick.
Okay.